Warren Buffett's secret: the power of time. Most people think Warren Buffett's secret is about stocks. They are wrong. His real secret has almost nothing to do with the stock market. It has everything to do with something most people throw away every single day without even noticing. Time. Not hours, not schedules, not productivity hacks. Compound time. The invisible force that Warren Buffett understood earlier, and more deeply than almost any human being alive. And the force that, once you truly understand it, will change the way you make every decision for the rest of your life. Let me show you what I mean. Warren Buffett was born in Omaha, Nebraska in 1930. By the time he was 10 years old, he had already read every book in the Omaha Public Library that had anything to do with business or investing. Every single one. While other children his age were doing what children do, young Warren was sitting quietly, reading, absorbing, planting seeds inside his mind that would not fully bloom for decades. At 11, he bought his first shares of stock. At 13, he filed his first tax return. At 15, he and a friend purchased a used pinball machine for $25 and placed it in a barber shop. Within months they had 3 machines generating steady income. People look at these stories and say, he was a genius. He was exceptional. That is not me. But they are missing the real lesson entirely. The lesson is not that Buffett was smarter than everyone else. The lesson is that he understood a law that governs all human life. And he applied it with unusual consistency and unusual patience from an unusually early age. That law is this: whatever you invest your time and attention into consistently, over a long enough period, compounds into something far greater than what you originally put in. This is not a metaphor. This is how reality actually works. Buffett himself has spoken about this principle many times. Using the language of investing, he has described his approach as finding great businesses, and then simply waiting, letting time do the work that impatience destroys. He has said that his favorite holding period is forever, not because he is passive, but because he understands that compounding requires time the way a fire requires oxygen. Remove the time and the compounding stops. Add time and the growth becomes almost incomprehensible. But here is what most people never realize. This exact same law applies to every area of human life. Not just money, not just investing. Your knowledge compounds. Every book you read builds on the last. Every concept you deeply understand makes the next concept easier to grasp. People who read consistently for 10 years do not just know more than people who do not read. They think differently. Their understanding is layered in ways that produce better decisions, better questions, better lives. Your skills compound. Buffett himself has told the story of one of the most important investments he ever made in himself. As a young man, he was genuinely terrified of public speaking. He enrolled in a Dale Carnegie course and learned to communicate clearly and confidently. That single skill, developed through consistent practice over time, compounded into every partnership he built, every deal he made, every relationship that contributed to his success. One skill, planted intentionally, tended patiently, compounded endlessly. Your habits compound. This is perhaps the most important and most overlooked application of the principle. The small things you do every single day are not small. They are seeds, and seeds do not show their nature immediately. A seed planted in good soil looks like nothing for a long time. Then, quietly, invisibly, the roots go deep. And when the growth finally becomes visible, it is often so dramatic that observers assume something sudden happened. Something lucky, something exceptional. Nothing sudden happened. The compounding was simply doing what compounding always does, when given enough time and enough consistency. Now here is the part that is uncomfortable to hear. This law works in both directions. The habits you avoid building compound into weakness. The relationships you neglect compound into distance. The knowledge you choose not to pursue compounds into blind spots that cost you in ways you cannot even see. The time you spend on things that produce nothing compounds into a life that feels busy but somehow empty. Buffett has been remarkably consistent on this point. He talks about the importance of guarding your time fiercely, of saying no to almost everything so that you can say yes fully to the few things that truly matter and truly compound. His schedule, even at the height of his career, was famously open. Not because he was not working, but because he protected his reading time, his thinking time, his planting time, with extraordinary discipline. He once said that he has a pile of books and reports on his desk that he works through every day. He estimates that in the early part of his career, he read between 600 and 1,000 pages per day. Today he still reads for many hours daily. He has described this practice as building a latticework of knowledge, a structure inside the mind, where each new piece of information has something to connect to, something to reinforce, something to make more useful than it would have been alone. That is compounding in its purest form, and it is available to every single person reading this right now. You do not need to be born in 1930. You do not need a father who was a stockbroker. You do not need a library card in Omaha. You need a decision, and then you need consistency, and then you need the most underrated quality in human life: patience. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's longtime partner, and one of the wisest thinkers of the last century, put it this way. He said that the secret to success is not doing extraordinary things. It is doing ordinary things, with extraordinary consistency over an extraordinary length of time. Read that again. Ordinary things, extraordinary consistency, extraordinary length of time. That is the formula, the whole formula. Everything else is detail. So let me ask you something honest. What are you planting right now in your daily life? Not what are you doing. What are you planting? Because there is an enormous difference between motion and planting. Motion is activity. Planting is intentional action with patience attached. Motion fills your days. Planting fills your future. Buffett has lived this distinction more completely than almost any person in recorded history. At 94 years old, he continues to read for hours every day. He continues to think carefully before acting. He continues to hold positions he believes in through market storms that cause other investors to panic and sell. He continues to say no to almost everything, so that he can say yes to the few things that compound in his favor. The results speak across decades. But here is the part that should genuinely excite you. You do not need 94 years to feel the effects of compound time. Research on habit formation consistently shows that small behaviors practiced daily for 2 to 3 years begin to produce results that are disproportionately large relative to the effort invested. 2 to 3 years. That is not forever. That is a beginning. That is a field that has just started to produce its first real harvest. After a long season of invisible root growth, the question is not whether compounding works. It does. The mathematics are not debatable. The question is what you choose to compound. And the answer to that question is entirely yours. Buffett's story is not ultimately a story about money. It is a story about a person who understood a fundamental law of existence very early, committed to it completely, and then had the patience to let it work across a lifetime. The law existed before Warren Buffett. It will exist long after all of us are gone. The only question is whether you will use it. Start small. Start today. Plant something in the next 24 hours that your future self will be genuinely grateful for. One page of a great book. One conversation with someone who thinks differently than you. One small discipline practiced where you previously had none. It will not look like much tomorrow. But give it time. That is the whole secret. Give it time.